Peace.
We back.
113.
Jersey, HOUSEaHOLICS.
Yeah. Okay, so this one right here, we got a hot topic to talk about. I always try to avoid it, but somehow it always seems to rear its ugly head. And that's racism in the dance community. And let's start off by saying right now that we do not in no kind of way condone any kind of racism. House music was not founded on racism. So it's founded out of love. But with that being said, a lot of the founders of house music happen to be of African descent or Black Americans, and a lot of their struggles are in the music itself. And you always got to remember this. Anything coming out of America has a cup of racism added into the mixture, so it's kind of like you can't really avoid it. And so far in this 2019, we're in 2020 now, but in 2019, a lot of things had happened and a lot of things were going on, stirred up the pot, and racism showed up. And like I said, we don't condone racism in any way, form, or fashion, dealing with the house music, but we do want to clear up a lot of things. Or anything in life. Yeah. We do want to clear up a lot of things and add our opinion onto what we think about some things. First of all, we want to start off by saying shout out to Sekou and definitely shout out to Cebu.
Jersey.
Yeah, definitely. Jersey in the house. A lot of things, something kicked off in Russia, as many of you got, and this was, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's very, very long, so I'm just going to read a little snippet of it, and this was written by Cebu Terry Carr, and you can check him out on Facebook if you need to read that message that he sent, and it was around October time, and this was a lot of things that came out and happened, and some of the things we want to talk about today. One of them was, as many of you guys know, this is from Cebu, as many of you guys know, there was a situation in Russia with a dancer performing in blackface, mask wearing a full body brown stocking and dancing to a song, Look Like You. The lyric is actually, I Don't Want to Look Like You. This performance was seen as shocking, callous, and altogether just disrespectful by many of us dancers who are of direct African descent, African American descent, African Caribbean descent, and who are just part of the African diaspora in general. Now, blackface is crazy, and then when you see it in the dance community, that's kind of bananas. And whether or not you're doing hip hop dancing, twerking, or whatever it is, or you're dealing with house music, it's just, we shouldn't have to tolerate it. And it's pretty much bad on us if we do tolerate it and we allow it and say nothing about it. So, you know, I thought that was pretty disrespectful, and hopefully someone was able to talk to those people out there in Russia about why that was wrong and why they should have had someone there to, you know what I mean, kind of give them the odds and ends. That just wasn't cool what they did. So, especially if they don't know the history of it. Any comments? It's a rough one right there. I even left theirs stuck on that one. So that was one of them. Also, it was pretty funny. Same time in October, I wanted to dig into this one too. Which was a comment made by, and remember now, we're not here to bash anybody, and we're not here to, we're not here, definitely not here to promote racism or any kind of funny business going on. I also wanted to touch bases with our people's OG here in Germany, which he wrote something which was it's a little different. Fact, house is a club dance. It is not a Black creation, and it did not come from one race. It has nothing to do with race. So stop making these straw man arguments about respecting who created it. You are part of it, but it's not yours. Okay, and I guess that he was directing it towards Black people who are probably coming over here and maybe teach a class or something like that and say it is Black culture. But if you're looking at it, he's right to an extent. He's right what he's saying, the content, and I kind of get where he's going at it.
That is for everybody?
Yeah, that is for everybody, and it was definitely not created just for one group of people when they created, because, I mean, we have songs that are out that show
everybody experienced pain.
But in this particular case, being that house music, or the term house music, was created in Chicago, and we know it came from, some of the origins is from New York, from the DJs coming over into Chicago, but the actual, we consider house music, is a Chicago-based creation, and if you really want to get technical with it, it is a black creation, because there's documentary out there saying it was, and it's not to say white people were not included of it, but like I said before, if you deal with America, a lot of things come with a couple of racism, so you got to be kind of easy with that. And like I said, I get where he's going with it, but it's not fact, because one, he wasn't there, so he didn't really live it, and this is for you, OG, you wasn't there, you really didn't live it. So you kind of like, you got to look at it from one point of view to the next point of view, how it was created, house music, and how the lofting style is just two different. It's a lot of variations in there. So you got to be easy with it, because it is a bit of a struggle. No one let anybody into house music, into the clubs in New York. It was a struggle, put it that way, because some of the first clubs that were out there, you guys can do your research, do your homework on it. Shout out to Bravo, by the way, because he did drop a lot of knowledge on that.
Bravo, club dancer, and stuff.
Definitely. And also my one of my mentors, Africa, dropped a lot of knowledge on it too, which was the first kind of club scene in New York. And like I said, we're gonna get it mixed up a little with New York and Chicago, almost two different things in a way, but similar, very close, very close. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, whatever. Like the first clubs that was going on that people kind of wanted to go to was a gay club, and it happened to be an all-white gay club. And they really didn't let black people in. We had to fight for everything we pretty much do in America. And they played pretty much R&B music and stuff like that. But one of the first clubs in New York City was the Stonewall. And like I said, some of you historians out there can correct me, because I'm just going to say one of, and I'm not going to say facts because I wasn't there myself. But from how I got it, was one of the clubs was the Stonewall in New York City, and it was predominantly a white gay club that eventually allowed their black boyfriends to come into the club. Eventually some of the rules got a little bit looser, and so the black boyfriends were able to come in the club, and then it became like a little bit of a mix. And one of the DJs that came in there was Larry Levan, and did some great things for it. But the kind of music that we listen to, and like I said, this is how I got it from my OG Africa, was one of the gay clubs that we listened to was the music was the Garage. That was one of the places that had some of the music that we kind of currently listen to now as a foundation for house and stuff like that. But a lot of this is so many different variations and caveats. You got the Chicago side, and then you got a New York side. So you got to understand Chicago, me being from Chicago, New Jersey, living in New York, kind of all three of those right there. Chicago is a very, very racist place, and you got to understand, when we're making music, we're trying to break racism. But you can't say or deny that black people created house music, because that is a fact. Now, house dance and the type of dance that OG, you subscribe to, is a black dance. I mean, it's not to say that white people don't dance too. This is not saying that, and it's not to say that this cannot be for everybody or somebody's culture. This is not a house. Everybody is welcome into the house. Just how it is, you know.
So your part was about a day I can talk now.
I hope so. I was hoping you were gonna cut me off.
Yeah, but I don't want to cut you off. So your whole problem basically is the whole creation part of it, not the acceptance of who was a part of it. It was more about the creation part, and then after that, of course, everybody gravitated to it. And like even in the 90s, you had like all the top clubs were gay clubs when it came to like the house music and the house scene. So and,
I mean, you got to understand, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for gay rights. It's a struggle for black. And it doesn't matter. It's just a struggle. So even with the music being created, as far as being, I would say, a black creation. Not to say that white people didn't have to play a part in it, but they just played a different kind of part of it. Maybe owning the clubs, stuff like that. So the dance style that we subscribe to right now in the battles, that is a black dance style. It's just how it is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying that. And the reason why there's nothing wrong with saying that, because the way America is set up, and it's not set up the same way as Europe is set up. Europe is set up totally different, man. They have a little bit more, a different kind of tolerance of racial equality here than they do in America. America's just straight up racist. I mean, it's just how it is. But I'm saying there's certain times that in certain environments, especially in New York, where everybody gets to mingle and everybody gets to share an experience. And house was one of the things that you get to mingle with in New York City and share an experience. But if you want to see the dance aspect of it, it is a Latino influence, heavily influenced by Latin and heavily influenced by African and Black American. It's as simple as that.
Same thing.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look at it like this. You got to figure like this. It's no disrespect to anybody, but Europe is different than Africa. Europe movements are different than Africa. Just how it is. If I was back in the day of with Queen so-and-so back in the 1800s, 1700s, and I got up and I just moved my hip around, that would send shock waves through the ballroom. So this is something Elvis doing the wiggly, the shake, the hip movement. That is an African movement. And him by doing that right there alone,
copying chubby checkers,
made everybody go crazy in America. So America's a very, very racially divided place, no matter what you may think or understand. If you've never been to America, you really don't know the science on behind this. And dance plays a lot with race. So I hate to say it, but it's just how it is, especially in America. Maybe not here in Europe, but in America, it does play a big portion. So for OG out there, you're right, and I understand which direction you're going with it, but it's not factual for you. It's only factual for whoever lived it at that particular time or whoever did that. And from my era, my point of view, yeah, it's not facts, man. So it's not a straw man argument. We can have a debate on it anytime you want, and we can sit down, which I have definitely invited him to have a debate on it. But this is one of the other things I've seen. And this was some of the things that happened last year in 2019 that I wanted to touch on. And I thought it was a good opportunity to it. And I'm still looking forward to sitting down with OG and chopping it up. And definitely respect him and his work that he's doing out here in Germany, because he's one of the biggest dancers we have out here. So, yeah, we don't condone racism at all. No, nor fat shaming. So no fat shaming either. So
not in 2020.
Not in 2020. So house is your house if you love it. And how I see it is, if you really, if this culture is for you, I'm not the end all be all in knowing it, but you can tell a lot of people come in this thing, they're just in it for a hot 5 minutes and they're out. It's more to this than the battles and stuff like that. It really is a deep culture, and a lot of people have a lot of heart in this and take it. And I take no one to say that they don't have heart or love for this. I take it what you say, until otherwise you show different. So yeah, definitely big shout out to everybody out there. Much love, and like I said, no disrespect to anybody out there who's listening to this. We don't tolerate racism, but hey man, kind of gotta tell the truth a little bit. I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah, so enjoy.
Hope you guys tune in to another Born segment.
Because Kev got nothing to say with this one.
No, I think he said everything, you know. I don't know. It's been enough. Can we all just get along?
Peace.